So since Adelaide totally imploded on their way to the finals, I'm gonna take vacation time. Welcome to AFL Access. My name is Joel, and today, from sunny Toronto in Ontario, Canada, I will be doing a continuing the season review series that Ryan, Justin, and I have been doing for the past couple weeks, and will continue into the next couple weeks until we've covered all 18 teams. So today, we will be travelling a surprising bottom dweller from this season, and that team is the Sydney Swans. On my way here to Toronto, I had to go via Sydney, and you know what? It was pretty cool. I'll show you some of the highlights. Yeah, that's it. I was there for an hour and a half. But that's not the point. We're here to talk about the Sydney Swans, who missed the finals for the first time since 2009. Which, when you think about it, you're just it's just one of those things that just hasn't occurred to me, because they have been such a very consistent performers when it comes to football over the past decade or so. So, they finished the season 8-14 and at 15th spot, which honestly, 8-14 is actually pretty good when you think about the bottom end of the ladder, but not great by Sydney standards. But to be honest, and it's pretty easy to identify what the biggest issue was and what the main catalyst was for their decline this season, and that was time itself. But yeah, a lot of their older, more experienced players have really started to slow down. They end up losing this season just via retirements: Jared McVeigh, Heath Grundy, Nick Smith, and Kieran Jack, which is over 1,000 games worth of experience. And even then, even before they retired, they were not playing much game time. So yeah, the youth was kind of sink or swim at this season. Also, lingering issues to Buddy, and a lot of the high-scoring offense was kind of sapped from them. So, to suffice to say, this year's a bit of a rebuilding year for the Swans. I think they have the talent to rebuild pretty quickly, but maybe next year as well might not be as successful as the Swans fans have hoped. But you got to take time with these things. You can't just hope it happens overnight. Your players got to develop, and looking at Sydney's track record, they'll be fine with that. They're very good at developing their young players. So we'll just quickly touch on some of the best performers for the Swans, with Jake Lloyd leading the charge with an average of 30 disposals per game, which is ridiculous, but not ridiculous enough to get even a mention in the All-Australian squad, apparently. Dane Rampy played an excellent defensive role, even though some of his tactics were a bit controversial, but at least it was something interesting that happened this year. And oh boy, this year was pretty weird in general. Then you have Tom Papley kicking 37 goals to lead the squad as a good, viable, medium-sized option in the forward half behind Franklin, who, even though he only played 10 games, kicked 27 goals, so he still has that scoring touch. But, time is undefeated. Unless your name is Tom Brady or Sean Burgoyne. Time doesn't catch up with them that much. A lot of the experience that has been so prominent in Sydney for the last, what feels like forever, is starting to wane. But that being said, they do have some excellent youth to help to hopefully fill the void and complement Franklin in his last couple of years. Are players like Jordan Dawson and Nick Blakely, who, 34 goals between the two of them, which is pretty good for a first and second year player, and shows that, again, Sydney knows how to pick talent pretty well, and they should flourish under this system. Callum Mills returned to play a full season after the year before. He only playing 9 games and had 80 rebound 50s, which is very, very good for the youngster, who should also be another good swing man on the back half in lieu of the retirees. Alir has turned into one of the best intercept defenders in the league. He plays so bloody well. Just an excellent player. Last year for the finals between the Swans and GWS, I would have said that if Sydney wins, it's all off Alir's back, because he's holding it down in defense so well. Still, guys like Josh Kennedy, Luke Parker also have had pretty good seasons by their standards. Not the heights, but, you know, they give something for the young guy to rally around / mentor off of. Parker and Kennedy both averaging over 20 disposals, so they're still producing. It's just, again, just time starting to chip away at the core of the Swans over the next couple years. There were some disappointments with Ben Ronk, who didn't get much, played 13 games this year but only produced 9 goals, which is a bit tough because his debut game was obviously stellar, but, you know, I feel he's just dipped a bit in his progression, but, you know, we'll see what another preseason brings and how well he'll go in the future. Will Hayward, another young prospect that the Swans have been grooming pretty well, unfortunately only played 13 games as well. He did kick 12 goals, 16, which, you know, if he were a little bit more accurate, that would be pretty good for only 13 games, but injuries have started to affect the season to the point where he only played about 13 games, so that was not great. But, you know, if he can bounce back next year, that would be great for the Swans. Just in general, I think the biggest issue, another big issue, was that they were very slow out of the gate. They started the season 1-6. They managed to string a couple wins together, and with the turmoil that was the last couple final spots, it kind of looked like they might jag it because they did get into some pretty decent form. But unfortunately, the death blow was a loss to Carlton at the SCG in round 17. Even then, realistically, they were out of the hunt, but, you know, they've done it before. But I think the loss to Carlton just really killed it dead. Anywho, if I were to give Sydney a grade, I would give them a 4 out of 10. They did have some very good and very strong performances, but generally just age has caught up with the list and it is really starting to affect them. That being said, I think the youth in place is going to flourish, because it seems like all of Sydney just knock player development out of the park with all the great pickups and finds they get. And even with a top 5 draft pick, which will go a long way to help in this year's draft. Anywho, you think I'm full of it? I think Sydney's aging list is not the reason why they had a subpar year. Let me know in the comments below. If you like these season reviews, please click the subscribe button and ring the bell to stay notified. We've got a bunch more on the way, and final season is just about to start, so get hyped. If you want to discuss football with anyone who runs on the channel, like me, Brian, and Justin, join our Discord, and then just start chatting away, and we'll have a good time. And now, if anyone needs me, I'm going to a football game in Toronto. If you think they don't have football in Aussie rules in Canada, well, you're wrong, and I'm going to the Rogers Centre. This has been your AFL Access.